if you've got a young kid you're trying to learn how to play or you're beginning the game, beginners need to swing a lot with their golf clubs, period, just to develop a movement and a motion pattern and all that kind of thing. And going to the range sometimes is uncomfortable for them. And then a good player just understands the value of indoor practice. So depending on the caliber of the player, they understand how they'd want to use the product.
Well, I'm a big fan of Amazon. I just put in an order for something, and in 2 days on a Sunday, it came to my house. So there's nothing easier than that. So especially if you're an Amazon Prime member, it's just it's a blessing. You don't have to go out shopping anywhere in traffic. So it's wonderful. So, but you could also go to impactimprover.com to learn more about it or order it there as well. And like I say, buying a $500 driver is kind of nice, but if you don't have the swing, it won't help you much. If you practice your swing, you don't need the $500 driver right away. So I do recommend it. And it was a pleasure meeting you, and I really appreciate you coming on the show with us tonight.
Hey, Dan, it was my pleasure. Thanks so much, and it was great to meet you as well.
And I expect to see you at the show next year.
I'll definitely be there.
And go Knowles.
Exactly. That's right.
All right. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we are going to be back with our next guest. We'll be chatting with Shondell Foy, and she does marketing for Creek Fire Motor Ranch. You're not going to want to miss it, so stay tuned for more of the Golf and Travel Show.
Cinderella story, out of nowhere. A former greenskeeper now about to become the Masters champion. It looks like I'm a wreck. It's in the hole!
I rap fly, call me chocolate fun, then I got good too, going 4 strokes under, get out the way, if you wanna go play, cause I give it my all, every single day.
Have a lot of cash cause I sink my putts, stacks and stacks cause I'm...
And we are back, and if your business needs industrial workers, or if you're looking for work, you gotta call Labor Finders. Labor Finders places for temporary or temporary to hire opportunities for skilled, semi-skilled, or general labor positions, such as plumbers, electricians, concrete workers, forklift operators, office clerical, and so much more. Labor Finders has almost 200 offices nationwide. Near here in Boca Raton, they have offices in Homestead, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and in Jupiter. So if you need legal insured workers, or if you're looking for work, call Labor Finders toll free at 800-864-7749. That's 800-864-7749, or visit laborfinders.com. And we are back. It's a little tune by the name of Savannah by Vince Gill. And Savannah happens to be a place that I truly enjoy visiting. I get to go there every once in a while, usually on my way somewhere north. And on my way back, I pop in there and check out some of the fine restaurants that they have in town. And just a fun place to be. On the other hand, RVing and camping, as I mentioned earlier, is not something I typically do. But I know a lot of people do it and really enjoy it. So when I saw a brand new RV resort just outside of Savannah, I thought it would be something that all of you would want to hear about. So I figured I would reach out to somebody over there in the marketing department who probably knows everything about RVing and camping in Savannah. And I figured we can share all that wonderful information with you. So without further ado, we've got Shondell Foy, marketing for Creek Fire Motor Ranch with us. Shondell, are you there?
Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you tonight?
I am good. It is a nice, warm, peaceful night here at Creek Fire.
A good night to sit around the fire, I bet, right?
Exactly. I'm actually going to be doing that when we get off the call. We have a large stone fire pit by the pool house right up under the stars. We're going to go sit around it and have some hot chocolate.
Now, I got to tell you, like I said, I'm not into this RVing thing. I don't do it too much, but I appreciate why people do it, because I certainly like the beauty of the outdoors and nature, although, I just have a fear of things. A bear in the woods or something, I don't know. I like to lock myself in, but that's just me. But let's start by, the owner of your property, Matt Lipman, I guess this is a brand new property. What possesses somebody to open up an RV resort like that? How did the whole idea or concept, is it something he was dreaming of since he was a kid, or one day he just woke up and is like, I'm going to build this place and we're going to open it up? So why don't you give me a little bit about the history?
Okay, so our owner, Matt Lipman, has a childhood full of memories where his parents took him around, traveled the country, camping, and basically it was barefoot, fishing, just very relaxing childhood memories he spent with his father and his mom. And now that he is married and has 3 beautiful sons, he, living in the Savannah area, he wanted them to experience the same childhood memories that he was so fond of, that he grew up having. And the more and more that he looked around in the city that he loves and lives in, there's just nothing here that he had such a great vision for. And that vision is basically somewhere that not only that you can go camping or you can bring your RV and camp with, but that has the lake that you can go fishing or take out your kayak or boat, or that you could also lay out by the pool up under a palm tree on a warm, sunny day. So he started the process 3 years ago, and we opened in October of last year, in 2017. So we've only been open a few months.
Okay, so now you mentioned some of the things that you guys have there and some of the things from his childhood that he wanted, but in looking at some of the literature and the website for you guys, you've got a lot of things going on there. I can't think of anything that's missing.
Exactly. That's what mainly sets us apart. Well, quite a few things, actually, but we didn't want to just have a campground or somewhere to come and park your RV. I personally have traveled the country in an RV for years with my husband and family, pretty much at every campground, state park, and resort that you can think of. And when we came here, we noticed that you can rent a golf cart, if you don't have your own, and you can bring your own. But if you don't want to go through all that trouble, they have tons of golf carts that you could rent so reasonably. They have a huge, large outdoor pool that's heated all year round, and a child's pool with fountain and slide, as well as a hot tub. They have a pool house that has pool tables and dart boards and TVs with sitting areas, as well as foosball tables. And sometimes on the weekends, just for the heck of it, we will come and have bouncy houses blown up for the kids to come out during the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. They can play, and the parents can chill out at the clubhouse and play pool. And even at nights, we've had an oyster roast for the adults with live music. All included.
That's great. Now, one other feature that I see that I think is really cool is that you have a shuttle that runs between downtown historic Savannah and the campground, which is really cool because you don't have to worry about parking your car, because obviously any place that's worth going to, there's going to be a lot of people there. And not to mention, if you want to have a few adult beverages, you don't have to worry about driving either.
Exactly. So our shuttle service that we offer is will take you to downtown Savannah and also back, and it's only $10 a person, and that's both ways. So I have personally even had Uber take me to downtown Savannah and back, and it was almost $50 round trip.
Sure. No, that's a great value. So obviously this place is very family oriented. And why don't you tell me how, I mean, when you open your doors, I mean, do people just start to show up? I mean, how does that work out? Obviously you're in marketing, and I mean, to promote a place like this with obviously all that you've put into it, you need to start getting people. What's the process like when you're not, say, a Marriott hotel that has, you know, the marketing machine and all that behind them and the name recognition? You're just brand new, and you open up and you put your name out there, and how do you get the people to come?
Well, really, the place has kind of sold itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there has been people that literally came when we opened in March that have heard about what we were building here and have been so excited. We had people coming in October, the first month, which is unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Because of people all the way up from Massachusetts, Ohio, Pennsylvania, even Canada have came and stayed with us just because they have seen everything that we have to offer, and the vision here is nothing that they've seen anywhere else.
That's great. Now, obviously, you know, the referral business, I suppose, once somebody comes once, they'll either tell their friends or perhaps make it an annual or a more frequent than that event as well for them.
Just on one of our social media pages alone on Facebook, we have 98 reviews with a 4.9 star rating, and that is only 2 of those reviews left 3 and 4 stars with 0 complaints. The other 97 reviews were 5 stars. One of the guests even quoted heaven on earth.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, it certainly looks relaxing and family oriented, and you're situated near this wonderful city, so you got a lot of stuff that's going for you. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your food truck, though? I thought that was kind of interesting as well.
Yes, we have a Airstream, a 1967 newly renovated Airstream truck with an antique Ford truck pulling it. And we have been on special events and on weekends. We have it open where not only do we sell food by the pool, but we also sell beverages, adult beverages as well.
Wow.
Which is really neat by the pool, because we're actually about to open our pool pavilion, which is going to be a poolside bar and grill. So if you're laying out by the pool, or your kids are playing at the playground or the tennis courts or the basketball courts, you can just walk over to the pavilion, sit down, order a hamburger and a drink, and just relax while the kids are playing.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun to me. And now, one question, what about seasonality? I mean, I know that you've recently had a little bit of a cold spell up in the Georgia area. I mean, are there peak seasons, off-peak seasons? Do the rates vary from, time of the year as well?
We are very reasonable, so we do understand that January and February typically for a campground or resort is slow. So that's why that we give our customers, on top of other discounts that we offer, we also gave winter rates.
Mm-hmm.
So right now through the end of February, you get an extra 10 to 20% off on top of the other. We offer Good Sam, AAA, military rates as well. And even if you do not have, let's say you want to stay 7 nights, you get an even more discounted rate for staying 7 nights. If you want to stay during the week, it's even cheaper than just staying the weekend. So we try to, be very, we try to be very reasonable. We want our guests to get an amazing experience with our resort, but not try to be too expensive and unreasonable.
Well, it's a good theory, unlike, for instance, like the NFL or Major League Baseball that priced it so expensive that a family of four couldn't afford to go. And then when the kids don't go, they grow up not, enjoying it. They're not fans. So you need to price it so that you can grow the children and keep it affordable. So it's a great way to go, and I appreciate that. Now, I did have an opportunity to look at your website, and you got some beautiful pictures and your story and lots of information. So why don't you give everybody your website so that everyone can go and see what you got going on? Because radio is good. We can describe it as best we can. But, of course, a picture tells 1,000 words. So what's your website?
Okay, our website is www.creekfirerv.com.
Okay.
And on your website, you can find a link to all our social media links, as well as there's a video that we actually had a drone go over our resort. So you can have an actual video where you see above our entire resort view.
Well, I'm right now looking at your lake, and I'm getting relaxed right now, just looking at the picture. So it's quite beautiful, and all I can say is congratulations, because starting a project like this and making it reasonable and family-friendly and having success so early is really quite an accomplishment. So I tip my hat to both you and to Matt for making all this happen, and hopefully some of the folks that are listening will have an opportunity to grab their family and come up and visit you at Creek Fire Motor Ranch.
Yes, and just to mention also, not only we have 4 different RV lots that we provide concrete pull through and back in lakefront and by the clubhouse, but we also have private brand new cabins that sleep all the way up to 6 and 8 people, as well as 2 tent sites that actually are on a wooden deck overlooking the lake. And we have future plans. We're currently working on a lakeside restaurant and bar, as well as a golf course and a lazy river and splash pad. So we have a lot of things that we're steadily building to add on to the resort.
Very nice. Well, I'm looking at a picture of the cabins, and that's a little bit closer to my style, I think. I could live in one of those cabins overlooking the lake. I think now you're talking my language. So, and of course the golf.
Beautiful.
Once you have that golf course, now you're really talking my language, of course. So,
the golf course is actually going to overlook the lake, so it's going to be on a higher, hill next to the lake house and bar and grill, and the golf course view over the lake is going to be fantastic. No one is going to want to leave the golf course.
Well, you just sold me. So what you're going to need to do is when all this stuff is complete or just before, you're going to have to come back on the show, and we'll have to let everybody know.
Absolutely. I would love to come back on.
Great. Well, thank you.
It's been so nice talking with you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Shondell. And like I say, hopefully our listeners will come. Go check it out at creekfirerv.com. Go book your reservation and go say hello to Shondell. That's what I would do.
So, thank you, guys.
Thank
Y'all
you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You as well. All right. What we're going to do is take one final quick break, and then I got a tiny bit of travel news for you, and I got a bunch of deals for you, and you don't want to miss it. So stay tuned for more of the Golf and Travel Show. And we are back. A little song called Oh Atlanta, one of my favorite bands, Little Feat. And I chose that because I was planning to jump on a plane in the morning to head to Atlanta for the weekend and take my darling wife with me. and she came down with a terrible head cold, and we had to cancel the trip. So I figured I'd play the song anyway just because I like it so much, but I'll have to get back to Atlanta. Just like Little Feat says, got to get back to you, but it'll be another time. Anyway, I promised you a little bit of travel news. I promised you some Dan's deals, and I don't want to disappoint. So let's kick it off with a little bit of airline news. And this past week, several of the airlines' stocks tanked, and they were down quite a bit. And you won't believe the reason why. It was kind of strange. It was basically due to United Airlines making plans on Tuesday to grow their capacity by 4 to 6% for each of the next 3 years. Well, what that means is with more flights and more seats, it means more competition. And the other airlines, well, nobody likes competition when you're the airlines, but of course, us consumers, we love it. The shareholders don't like it either. So what happened was within like an hour of that announcement, United itself was down 10% their stock. And as well, American and Delta were off 6% and 5% respectively. Southwest was down about 3%. So it's interesting. I mean, when the economy was bad, United cut back some of their flights. They increased some of them, but it seems not enough, especially out of their hubs, which would be Denver, Houston, and Chicago. So they're going to be adding a lot more flights, so there's more connections and more people could get to where they need to go. But the bottom line of this is it may hurt the earnings of the airlines because when they add more seats, there's more chance that there'll be empty seats. Then they have to lower their prices to fill the seats. And that's what's good for me and you, but not so good for the airlines and the stockholders. So I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what happens. Of course, I'll keep you all appraised. Changing gears quickly to the cruise lines. Disney Cruise Lines, you may want to listen to this if you have kids and you like to cruise with your kids. In 2019, which on Disney they do book and sell out pretty quick, especially for something like this, they're bringing back their popular Star Wars Day at Sea and Marvel Day at Sea on their itineraries in 2019 on 2 of their ships. And this is going to be from January to early March in 2019. Of course, their ships go out of Port Canaveral, so it's not too far to get up there if you're hearing my voice over the live radio airwaves. They're going to have, they're all going to be going to the Caribbean and to the Bahamas. And for those of you who like, or your kids like, or are fans of either Marvel characters, or Star Wars, it could be a good value. We report on some of these music cruises. It seems these theme type cruises are very, very popular. And of course, Disney cruises, if you got kids, are very popular as well. Here's another story. MGM just came up with a program for all of their properties in Las Vegas. So we'd be talking about the MGM, the Aria, Bellagio, Mandalay Bay, whereby the leftover food from banquets is going to be flash frozen so that it can be given to the poor. So kudos to MGM Resorts. I do stay there on occasion. It's a good place to stay. Many of these properties, especially, I like the Bellagio out of all of them the most. Mandalay Bay isn't bad either. Of course, they've had some issues with that shooting out there. People are not going there as much, but I have to commend MGM for doing the right thing. Also, I saw in the news today that it seems that Steve Wynn, of course, one of the biggest developers of casino properties in the world, he runs the Wynn, the Encore's, got some properties in Macau. He actually started several of these properties like Bellagio that MGM acquired from him. It seems that word has come out today that he's been accused of all sorts of cases of sexual harassment on the job site using his power and influence. Of course, he's denying the charges, so it's all alleged. But the stock for his stock for Wynn Properties also plummeted today, I believe. Because even in any statements that come out about the company, they're required to state that anything that happens to Mr. Wynn could have a significant impact on the company because he is the face of the company. He's that important to the company. So, a gentleman like himself, if these women's claims turn out to be correct and they bring him down, it could have a major impact on his empire. So we'll keep you informed on that. Here's we'll start to get into the deals, although this isn't really a deal, but it's just an event. So this is the Whiskey, Wine, and Wildlife on Jekyll Island, which isn't too far away from here up in Georgia. And this is taking place at the Westin Hotel on Jekyll Island, and it sounds like a really cool deal. It's being held February 8th through the 11th, and you can have an opportunity to taste some of the best wine, whiskey, and food in the area. So you may want to check that out. They've got all sorts of events going on and just some wonderful restaurants with awesome food, obviously a lot of southern food. So it's just a couple of weeks away. And let me see if I can find a website. I don't seem to see where it is, but it is at the Westin Hotel on Jekyll Island. So I'm sure you could go to their website and find out more about that. Without further ado, how about some Dan's Deals before we run out of time? I usually try and stay close to home and move further away, but all of these are far away. All of these deals are found on Travel Zoo, where I find a lot of them. How about a river cruise on the Danube, including Christmas markets this year? I've been looking into a Christmas or a river cruise myself. They're typically very, very expensive. How about just $999 as a starting point for a river cruise with the Christmas markets? And that would be on the Danube from Budapest to Regensburg. You'll be stopping in Bratislava, Vienna, Linz, and Passau. They do have some other discounted deals on other cruises that are a little bit more pricey. There's one on the Seine in France. There's one in Holland, sailing from Amsterdam to Antwerp. That's one that I was thinking about going. Or a France Culinary Delight cruise. All of this is through Vantage Deluxe World Travel, and it looks pretty cool to me. It's just a great value, especially for $999. How about Greece? Island hopping in Greece. Very, very expensive in spite of their economy that crashed not long ago. Going to the Greece islands has always been expensive, but here's a deal, again, on Travel Zoo. And by the way, you do have to hurry on these deals. That first one that I mentioned for the river cruises, you have until February 2nd to take advantage of that one. But you can go island hopping to Mykonos, Santorini, and Athens, starting at as little as $13.29, and that includes round-trip air from the U.S., flying into Mykonos and back from Athens on a full-service airline like United. Hotels for 3 nights in Mykonos, 3 nights in Santorini, 3 nights in Athens, ferries between the cities, daily breakfast, and like I say, all that starts at $13.29, which is just incredibly inexpensive. Going a little bit further, how about Japan? Some people say that Japan is one of the best places to go to, typically very expensive. A 6-night escorted trip, including flights, $1,100 off, starting at $14.99. You're going to fly from the U.S. to Osaka. You return from Tokyo. You got 6 nights accommodations, 2 in Kyoto, which I hear is beautiful, 2 in Tokyo, 1 in Osaka, and 1 in Hamanako. English-speaking tour guides, daily breakfast, all ground transportation, air and hotel taxes. The airfares from L.A. or New York, you can pay a little bit more and get other departure cities. This is for dates in May through December, but you got to book it by February 7th. So remember, don't wait for these deals. This is through Stunning China, and again, found on Travel Zoo. How about India? Not necessarily my cup of tea. I do know people who have gone there and loved it. Of course, the Taj Mahal, one of the new 7 wonders of the world. You can see typically the airfare alone would be more than this trip, but you can go to New Delhi, Jaipur, and Agra. I think they call that the Golden Triangle or something like that. Starting at as little as $999. You're going to get to see the Taj Mahal, of course, a rickshaw ride where the royalty goes, Amber Fort, Palace of Mirrors. It includes your flight, 7 nights accommodation, sightseeing, entry fees, daily breakfast, 2 lunches, 3 dinners, taxes, fees, as little as $9.99 from Los Angeles, $12.49 from New York. The Los Angeles dates are in September. The New York dates are in May. You got to also book this by February 2nd, so do not wait. I hear my music, so thanks again to my guests, Tiffany Fawcett and Chandel Foy. Go to facebook.com/The Golf and Travel Show. Like it, and then you'll know who our guests are going to be from week to week, and we'll be back next week with another Golf and Travel Show. Hopefully you'll tune in.
Stop is neatly planned for a poet and a one-man band. You have been listening to the Golf and Travel Show, hosted by Dan Chu, heard live every Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. on 1470 WWNN and replayed every Sunday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 740 AM WSBR. Visit the show on Facebook and tune in next week. If you are in South Florida or traveling the world, hit 'em straight. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff,